My name is Justin Zimmerman. I'm the Director of Content and Publishing here at the REDX, and I'm here with one of my favorite REDX top prospectors, Edward Estrada. And so, Edward, I know your routine. I know your schedule very well. You follow the Olympian method, and so for you to take time out of your day, this is literally hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of productive hours or time that you could be using. And so I really appreciate you spending it and donating, volunteering it to us. And so welcome.
Hey, Justin. No, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So to get started, I think it's a great place. People like to know where people come from, befores and afters. I mean, that's just where a lot of people see inspiration from. And so I think there's a really important story that you can tell us about. Really, it was about 90 days ago, or it was 90 days ago. It was a 90-day turnaround story that you and I had a conversation about a couple of weeks ago. And so if you could give us a little insight into how you got into the business, what that first period of time was, and then what that transformation process looked like to then bring you to where you are right now, sitting here in front of hundreds of REDX customers talking about your success story.
Well, okay, that's a good question, Justin, and hello, everyone. My name is Edward Estrada. I'm out of the Los Angeles, California marketplace in the city of Northridge, California. A little bit about my background. I got into real estate by accident. I was in college, and the person who is now my lead coach, he actually sold me my first house. I was going through the process. He asked me, "Have you ever thought about buying a home with your VA loan?" I was like, no. So I purchased my first property, and it was a nightmare. It was hard to get a lender who was experienced with the VA loan. So I found a gap in it, and I took interest in it, and from there it was history. I found that real estate was a great career choice for me, especially when you get to talk to a lot of people and interact with people. I've been in real estate for, I'd say, about 3 years now. I started as a buyer's agent, his buyer's agent, and recently moved into the listing games, but didn't let go of the buyers at all. I've been prospecting now consistently for about a year now. I would say going on to a year, starting as of December of last year or January of this year.
Yeah, so you had told me a story about how you struggled at the beginning, and then there was a moment in time where things changed for you. Could you bring us to that point?
Correct. And thank you for asking, Justin. Yes, it was a very, very rough patch at the beginning of this year. I went through some personal things with myself, family, and health, and other things where I kind of let go of business, and business went. I wasn't closing any deals for a few months. I was telling Justin, I think I was down to like $21 or something in my bank account. And since, I think, May, I had to sit down with my coach and my lead coach and my broker. We had a conversation, and I don't know when it clicks. I mean, everyone's looking for that magic pill for prospecting, but something clicked. And since May till to now, I think I'm 26, 27 listings in from May till today. And it was a process. I had no choice. My only choice was to get to work to be successful. So when you eliminate or you have no options and you have another choice, you find a choice and you create it. And there's a lot of things that go with it. It's who you surround yourself with, what you do, what you listen, what you eat, what you look at. You know, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I guess we'll get into detail about that further down in the conversation, Justin.
Yeah, I think that's what really helped inspire the concept of the Olympian method, which includes using GeoLeads to generate listing appointments, because you really take like a holistic athletic approach to prospecting as a sport. You have a mindset which, like every Olympian, has to be focused on the end results, not the individual little steps along the way. They eat right, they sleep right, they exercise, they have a routine that they follow. And I think that was something that is inspiring to those, as you tell us, and you're going to walk us through it, that they can borrow pieces of it or they can follow it all. And if they haven't had a chance to get the ebook on it, I can pop that link into the question and ask section, answer session a little bit later. And so I think a really kind of big first part was that story about you going from down and out to up and coming with just $21. I think you said 46 cents in your bank account. And so, you told us about things that had to work, like what absolutely must work. And like when you were looking at your bank account and you were looking at your future in real estate, like you said, you had no other options. And so, can you take
Correct.
us through um, either the conversation with your coach or the thing that you changed, and then what your schedule looked like or your routine looked like before and after?
Correct. Correct. So, it was a we call them come to Jesus moments or conversation. My coach and broker, Danny Morel, and so is Luis Rodriguez. We sat down and we spoke about certain things. And the question was, what do you want? What is it you want, and what are you willing to do for it? What's the price you're willing to pay for it? And when you have another choice but to be successful, number one thing that is very, very crucial is, first of all, let your ego go. A lot of us can do great things because we have a big ego. We think we know it all. We think we are right, but we really don't. Once you can master that, then you become coachable. Being coachable, they know what works and what doesn't work because they've done it. So one of the biggest things, okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't do. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, done. So it all starts from the morning routine all the way to role-playing, to scripting, putting countless hours of role-playing, countless hours of prospecting to get you to where you want to be. Because when you're not achieving the results you're getting, it's because you're doing something wrong. And when you don't know how to ask for help or learn how to take criticism, there's no way for you to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It almost seems like no matter what we say going forward on this call, it's not going to matter to those who listen to this if they're already not in a coachable mindset. We can give the tactics, but if there's not like the willingness to accept new ideas, then what's the point of attending or listening to what you're about to share?
Correct. You know what they say. You can lead the horse to water. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't force him to drink it.
Absolutely. So, what's the first thing that changed? What was on the other side of it? So,
okay, perfect. I wrote this down. So, one of the things that's changed in my life is my surroundings. How to control your mind. Real estate, I believe it's 80% mental, 9% would the other 10% would be the actual physical world and the things you do around it. So when I say mental game, it would go back to your mindset. If your mindset is not right from the beginning, from when you first enter the call, you might as well not even enter the call, because we can feel each other's energy. We can feel each other's aura. If you're having a bad day, it's going to come right across our phone. It's like remember when you're in high school and you woke up early, you took a shower, you got ready, you had the best day in the world, but that day you woke up late, everything's bugging, you're cranky, your whole day goes the same way. So it would be mindset is your biggest thing. I was always told your mind is like a garden. You got to consistently keep on watering it so it grows. The things you got to consistently keep growing is people. There's going to be a lot of negative people in your life and people around you. You have to learn how to eliminate those people, because it can take you a long time to develop a positive mindset, and it can take you seconds to ruin it. So people, the example of me, there was people in your life, it could even go down to family that tell you can't do it, or this is not this, or everything they talk about is something negative. Like you're like, hey, how are you? And like, oh, they complain about anything, and it's interesting because we all have those people in our lives. The next one, it would be audio. I switch a lot of my audio. I don't listen to music. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to ebooks, audibles, consistently reading, and I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. Because if you think about it, everything in the news is negative. The news just feeds you a bunch of negative stuff. So I try to surround myself with nothing that's negative. And then the other one is surroundings. Every time I do something, I go somewhere, I ask myself if what I'm doing is what I want in my life, to continue doing it. If not, then don't do it. Change your surroundings. That was one of the biggest obstacles that I changed, was your surroundings and everything you do.
So it sounds like the first step in being effective at all types of prospecting, and then especially GeoLead prospecting, is having your mindset and your intention correct, and then changing your environment to make sure that the things that are in your environment are supporting that.
Correct, Justin. If you're not okay mentally, honestly, there's not much you can do, especially when you're prospecting. You have to be clear. Your mind has to be clear. You have to be positive at all times.
So could you tell me? I'm getting some notes back that okay, just making sure that everyone can hear us. Okay, I just got a couple of things. If you can hear us, okay, please just pop some question, little thing in the question and answer box. And so I want to understand some of the, well, not I don't want to. I want to express the interest of those who are attending right now and those who have submitted questions. That the basic foundation of success in prospecting is knowing your why and having the intention and the surrounding. What are, and those are three different things. What are exercises that you do or exercises that you've been through to help you establish those, so that way you have a clear, strong emotional foundation that allows you to have the consistency to go through the routine we're going to get to in a couple of minutes?
Okay, so some of the things that I set, I had the pleasure to sit down with and have dinner with some of the top producers, and I wrote a lot of stuff they told me, and we're just talking about. These are notes from August. First of all, you got to be clear with what you want. Know your want and your why, because those are the things that are going to keep you going when times get rough. And I'm talking about be clear to detail. Some people say, well, I want to make $100,000. Why? What are you going to do with that money? What is it? Set a time, set a date. Know exactly what you want. Because if you don't know exactly what you want, I mean, it's you need a plan. So that'd be one thing. Know exactly what you want. Other things that I have in place is daily affirmations. We have a journal. In that journal, I do my affirmations every day. I write down, 10 things that I'm grateful for. I write down 3 things that have made me happy in the past 24 hours. And then I just write, just consistently write who I am, what I want, what I do every morning. There's another exercise called the 5 Pillars of Success. In the morning, you give thanks, you give gratitude to God, family, your health, your finances, and your friends. That's every day right after your gym, before I go to work. You got to be thankful. A lot of us aren't thankful. We like to be pointing out the negative and the obvious, but sometimes we're not thankful for just having a roof over our head or clothes on our backs. Be thankful at all times. When you go with that mindset, right when you get on the phone, you're just going with that intention of helping someone. So that's one of the things I've learned.
One of the questions that we had before is how people say, how do you show up positive when there's so much negative on the phone? How do you remain focused when people are hanging up or cursing at you? And it sounds like there is a practice that you use and start with your 5 pillars and your affirmations that it does something for you. And
correct. And if you start your day positive,
that you do, and then how does that play out in the next step of your day?
Okay, you have to start your day positive. That's why it's very, very crucial to have your morning routine. You have to guard your time, your morning. Go to the gym, listen to something positive, go over your affirmations, go over your whys. Just tell yourself how great you are, how amazing you are. Be positive to yourself. So no one's going to come up to you in the morning and say, hey, Justin, you're a great guy. You're an awesome listing agent. You're phenomenal. No one's going to do that for you. You do it for yourself. Now, if you're going to go in negative, that's easy. You can just turn on the TV and watch the news and all said and done. So you have to do it for yourself. Protect that time and protect your mindset at all times.
It feels good to hear someone say that. I don't even practice real estate anymore, and hearing you just say that to me made me feel good. And it's interesting how just that positive energy, and if it can come from ourselves, that's a pretty strong character.
Right, and a lot of us stress out on a lot of things that happen in our lives. But one thing that I've learned recently, I do a lot of personal growth and reading, is I was reading something, and it says you could only control the things that are around you. So whatever you can control, actually do it. But the things that are out of your control, why even worry about it or give it time and energy? What I mean, if someone's coming into your workspace or your prospecting space, or your live or a phone call, that's negative, why do you allow that? If you have a 10-minute conversation and it was a waste of time, the first 2 minutes is their fault. The last 8 minutes was your fault. Because you allowed it to continue going.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna speak for some of the people who have asked questions about mindset and focus. And before we jump into the routine that really the things you're talking about fuels, and probably the hard reasons why people are on this call right now. But I feel like if someone gives them permission, like give people permission to say that they have the right to have a positive mindset in space. I feel like you had to do that yourself. And I feel like maybe hearing that verbalized, and maybe that, what's that voice sound like in your head, so other people can maybe take that as an affirmation to create that space that allows them to be positive in their work environment, positive in their head, and then eventually the next step, positive on the phone, to go through the routine that you're about to describe for us.
So, I mean, can you repeat that question again? I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah. So like, what does the permission sound like in your head to like say no negativity? What does that voice sound like? What do you tell yourself when someone steps into that, a negative person or element steps into the chamber of cool that you're trying to create to take on the phone?
Right. That's a good question. There's an agent in our company that, I admire, I look up to a lot. His name was Adrian. Adrian, what he did once, and I had the ability to shadow him, he carries something, it's called a Who I Am card. It's a flashcard, puts it in his suit. He's got one in his suit, one in his office, one in his house, one in his car. He's got one everywhere. There's always going to be times when you're challenged mentally by people around you, even people like your family. And when times get tough, when you're being challenged mentally, what I learned from him is he pulls out his Who I Am card, turns around real quick and reads it. I'm a great person. I'm an amazing person. I have a positive mindset. I'm helpful. I'm grateful. I'm here for you. What can I do for you? I'm amazing. He has one that says I'm a Jedi. There's so many things he says in that card, and it just keeps you, reminds you and focuses you of who you are. So when you put that card back away and you go back to the card, it's like, well, I know who I am. You have two choices. You can continue where you're at, or you can move away. It's simple, but it's not easy.
I think that is an amazing insight and like tactical approach to giving ourselves the positivity. Like you said, you're not going to walk into the office and everyone say, hey, you're the greatest listed agent. You got to write those things down and pull them out of the moments when you need them. What does yours say?
Right. I have mine on flashcards. So on my flashcards, I'm like, I am intelligent. I'm smart. I have a good sense of humor. I'm powerful. I'm funny. I'm a good dancer. Sorry about it. I'm great. I know what I want. I know who you are. Let me help you. Listen to me. Act now. Sign with me. A lot of embedded commands that I use on those as well. Relist with me. Who am I? Who are you? What can I do for you? How can I help you? Those are the things that consistently just go through your flashcards. So I have a deck of cards, and I just go through them every morning. Just throw them down. Just read it and go, read it and go, read it and go.
Awesome. All right. So you've got a great system, it sounds like. You've got your mindset, you've got your affirmations, you've got your 5 pillars, and you've talked about having your why. And I think the rest of this call, or the rest of the section of this call, will go into talking about the routine that then benefits from all the pre-work that you do. To overlay over that, could you give us what your why is? In that way, we can understand the driving force behind why you follow this routine.
Good. That's a good question. My why is very clear. I have a goal by the end of the year. It's a goal that's already been set in place. To remind me of my why and my goals, I have vision boards set in place. I have accountability set in place. I have deadlines set in place, so it allows me to hit them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
A lot of my whys are more personal, but that would be something that I did to implement it. If you don't have a mastermind, I suggest you get one, an accountability group, someone to check in with every day, someone to check in for follow-ups. Always stay accountable, because we're human. There's going to be days that you don't want to get up. There's going to be days that you want to quit. There's going to be days that you don't even know why you're doing this. And those accountability groups, those mindset groups, help you continue pushing. And those one thing it's crucial. You must have one.
All right. And for a fortunate few who are listening to this, both live and on the recording, you're going to get access to the link at the end to apply. And hopefully you'll be one of the people that Edwards chooses to be his next roleplay partner. And so we're moving on to the next section here. We're going to talk about your routine now that we know all the things that go into supporting it. And I would just ask one question to help give everyone an understanding numerically, metrics-wise, goal-wise, and it relates to answering a couple of the questions that we got is how do people get predictability in their real estate lead generation, their real estate appointment generation, their listing appointment generation, and eventually sales predictability. And so I know that you have a formula that you've used and a process that you've been through to help set those day-to-day goals that allow you to then tie back to your why and your bigger picture, your purpose, your affirmations. And so could you go into what that exercise is and what your numbers are specifically? And then we can also see how GeoLeads helps you reach those goals.
Okay, do you want me to go over the schedule, the morning routine, or how do I keep track of how do I become a predictable business?
Let's do how do you become a predictable business, and then we'll go into the routine because that makes it all
perfect. Our coach and our broker, once told us, he goes, do you know your numbers? Do you know where your business is coming from? I said, no. Then how do you own a business? When every time Starbucks opens their doors, they know exactly how many milk they need. They know exactly how many coffee beans they need. They know exactly how many cups they need down to the straws to run a successful business. But yet again, we don't. So what I started doing is tracking my business. I know exactly how many contacts I have to make, how many calls I have to do, and then how many listing appointments I have to go on to take a listing. So by doing that is if I'm prospecting, I do sessions of prospecting. So we prospect anywhere between 3 to 5 hours a day. So I'll break them into 45 to an hour session. So when it's within an hour, average prospector can do anywhere between 8 to 10 calls. So anything above 8 to 10 contacts, anything above that, it's great work. So once you start tracking, and let's say, when I first started prospecting, it would take me 58 contacts for every appointment. I would take 10 appointments, and I was taking 4 to 5 listings. So that would tell me I'm on a 56% ratio for listing takings over appointments. And it would tell me after every 56 to 58 contacts I was making, I got a listing appointment. So when I'm on the phone and I'm doing my numbers, and those are the days that you don't want to go, and I'm already on contact number 38, I would always tell myself 20 more contacts and I got an appointment. That's how you predict your business. If you can have enough data for 2 weeks, it will tell you enough, okay, well, hey, if you stay on the phone for this much longer, you know exactly when your next appointment is going to be. Once you can identify the amount of contacts and then the amount of listing taken there, then you make adjustments. Say, okay, well, I went on 10 appointments and I took 4 listings. What's wrong here? Now you analyze that. That's where you have a coach. You tell your coach, so what's wrong with this? So they look at that, okay, so what are you saying in your appointments that's only giving you 4? Then you pinpoint what your dialogue should have been versus what it is. And then, okay, so now you got 56 contacts, 58 contacts for 1 appointment. You say to the other 55 people that you couldn't get that 1 appointment. So then you make that adjustment. So right now my ratio is about 21 to 22 contacts for every appointment. So now your dialogue has changed. Your scripting has changed, the way you approach your phone call. But in order for you to make those adjustments, you have to track. So that's why tracking your numbers are very, very important. You need to track your numbers to know what your adjustments are going to be and where you have to increase. But most importantly from tracking is sourcing. When you're tracking numbers, source where your business is coming from and where your contacts are coming from. So if you're doing expireds and you only got 3 contacts, but yet again you did GeoLeads and you got 17 contacts, and then you did for sell owners you got 1 contact, and then Sphere of Influence you got 6 contacts. Now you know where most of your contacts are coming from. And then I'll track exactly how many appointments came from your GeoLead and how many came from your expireds. Now you have a database. In that database, you'll find out, well, hey, I get most of my business from GeoLeads or just as it just sold. Well, hey, this is my strongest area. What's going on in my expired world? What's going on for sale by owners? What am I saying to these people that is not allowing me to get through? And then you make that adjustment. Only way you're going to make adjustments, because a lot of us just go on the fly without making an adjustment. We don't even know what our next one is or what script am I going to pick up. You have to know which is your strength and your weakness, and work with your coach on a one-on-one to allow you to focus and make those adjustments for you.
I think if the call ended right now, which it's not, I think that in and of itself would give people enough to work on and focus on to allow them to get predictability that would let them see why GeoLeads is so important. They would need to work on that first. But you really highlighted two things, and I don't want them to be skipped over. You said you made it into a game. You said, I know with it, and if I make 21 more calls, I'm going to get a listing. And that seems like, instead of feeling like approaching each call with dread, it almost feels like you're approaching each call with excitement. So when it comes to solving some of the fear of getting on the phone or the energy or stamina, I think that addresses a huge portion of those people who are running into that issue, because once you know your numbers, you can then treat it like a game, and then you can start winning at different sections of the game. And so, like you said, if you know, if I just make 21 more calls, I'm about to, hit the lottery, or hit the jackpot, or hit the, the appointment that I need. And so, but you
Correct.
can only do that, which is related to the predictability side of things. And so I think that,
right. And I guess to tie with that, Justin, one of the questions that I know a lot of people have is, okay, I know you're getting contacts. I know you're doing this. Are you on a dialer? Are you hand dialing? What are your sources? What are those things? Yes, I get it. Those are crucial. Those are crucial things. But one thing that most people don't realize is, how are you going into that phone call? And don't get me wrong, because I used to do it too. I was scared of calling expired. You're on that phone and you're waiting for a dial. You're like, in your mind, you're like, don't answer the call, or they're gonna say no, or they're gonna hang up on me. And you're already telling yourself like, oh man, this person's not gonna list. Oh man, this person's already mad. Oh man, this person's house is too expensive. Or you're already telling you all these stories before you even go into the call, and it happens all the time because we're human, we're normal. So then you have dialers and non-dialers. I used to hand dial by hand. I found hand dialing to be great because you're always consistently focused, because it's dial sheet, dial sheet, dial sheet. When you're a dialer, you get complacent. I mean, before I met Neil, then Michelle, then yourself, I was hand dialing. Now that I'm in a dialer, I face other challenges that a lot of us will face. It's called complacency. You can let your dialer go for minutes, hours at a time, and you don't know when the next person is going to pick up. It's just going. So if you got a lapse of 30 to 45 seconds, you can easily get a text message, check your email, talk to the guy next to you. You can do a lot of things which throws you off, because at the minute that person picks up, now you're off. You're like, well, wait, like, you don't even know what to say. But when you're well scripted and you've been practicing long enough, I mean, you can pick right up into the conversation, but it's always going to eliminate distractions.
It is, and then see that I'm glad we spent the time we did at the beginning talking about environment, mindset, limiting negativity, because when you're in the zone, literally the zone of calling, those 35 seconds can be the difference between being prepared and sharp and on point, ready to deliver, the energy behind those affirmations and the who I am cards, versus, an email coming in, or a text message distracting you, or someone else's bad day spilling over into your focus, and like why it was so important for you to establish those things. And I'm glad that you gave us an example in which that is now applicable to this.
Right.
The last section here before now, we are going to get to the routine itself, step by step, minute by minute, time block by time block, like we promised, until we get to the GeoLeads section of his day, which will then dive into the detailed nuances. But now you know your numbers, or now we know how he gets his numbers, by tracking them, both by the amount of results he gets per time, and also by the lead type. We know that he is now focused and ready in his mindset to make those calls. And so let's jump into the routine and take us through the time blocks. If you could give us the exact AM, PM, kind of half an hour, 45 minutes, the kind of the way we described it and talked about it before, as it's also listed and written out in the gold level Olympian method routine in the ebook. If you don't have that, we'll send out a link and you can check it out there. Take us to the morning when you're sitting down, and take us to the first steps into the office.
Perfect. So I have accountability set in place. There's a agent out there, agent lead coach, goes by the name of Anthony Morel. Like, he is a beast when it comes to his morning routine. He's like, you want to talk about the Olympics? He's like Michael Phelps, he's like freak of nature. He's at the gym. Like, he wakes up at 3:30. He's at the gym by 4:15, 4:30, and you'll see his posts like, "Hey, I'm at the gym." And I'm like, what is he doing consistently? He's at the office by like 5:30, 6 o'clock. His routine is just insane. So you get to reach out to certain people like this. So what is it and why is that you do it? And, all these people, they'll share all the information with you as long as you reach out. So the morning routine is you're up at 4 o'clock, 4:15, depending how far you live from the gym. You're at the gym at 4:30. And when you set accountability.
Is that what you're saying?
4:30.
Okay.
Correct. You're at the gym at 4:30. And when you have accountability partners, you send them a picture, you check in, say, hey, here's a picture of me at the gym, 4:30, just to make sure that, you're accountable at all times. Because if no one's going to see you, you can just, sleep in. So that's one. You're at the gym at 4:30. You spend about an hour and a half, depends what you want to do. You go home and you shower. While you're at the gym, we usually do our it's called a miracle morning. We write our affirmations of what we want, who we are. You take your vision boards or your dream boards with you. We laminate them. Or what I'll do too is I used to laminate my scripts and take them with me. I have my expired script and my objection handler on the back, like back to front to back, and I'll laminate it. I'll go to Kinko's or Staples or Office Max, and I'll laminate them. And I'm laminating multiple of them. One for my gym bag, one for my car, one for my house, one for my office, one for the shower, one for the bathroom. Everywhere. And those are the things that I read while I'm there. And then once I get home, I shower, and then we do something called reflection. You meditate. Meditation is key. The reason why is you just block everything out of your life. You just want to be okay with yourself. Reflect on yourself. Like, everything you do, everything you've done. Be thankful for the things you have. Be thankful for the people around you. Never say thank you. We're always quick to judge everyone, and everyone always remembers every bad thing you've ever done, but no one remembers all the good deeds. And that's just human nature, but we have the right to do it for ourselves. Spend 30 minutes doing that, shower, get ready. Every day when we go to the office, we're always suited and booted. We don't go with shorts, T-shirts, jeans every day because it makes you feel good. Once you get into the office, you're in the office, 7 o'clock. Once you get into the office, we have something called a mindset journal. In that mindset journal, we write 10 things that we're grateful. Grateful for our family, for our health, for our business, for our friends, grateful for certain things in life. And then there's another section that we write of what's made us happy the last 24 hours. It can be something simple like, I had a good lunch. I took my dog for a walk, like small things like that. Because when you're having a bad day, you can always go back to your journal and remind you of the good things that you did have in life versus the bad events that you had in life. And then I will write out, how much I want to make in the year. Always, if you want to do something, believe it in yourself. Like, I'm going to make $1 million next year, or I'm going to make $500,000 or $250,000. And I just write it down 26 times all the way down the paper every day. So that would be that. And then I do my role play. I do about 15, 30-minute role play session. By then, I already had uploaded my dialer. My dialers are ready to go. I upload my dialer as I'm getting ready. I log into my REDX. It's finalizing, transferring all the new stuff. And then I get into my dialer. Right before I get into my prospecting session, about 2 or 3 minutes, I just talk to myself, or I have my who I am cards or my affirmation cards. I'm a great agent. List with me. Sell now. Believe in me. Trust in me. Things like those. Things like that you'll use throughout the day. And I go over them, and then I get onto a call.
And what time is this?
So I start.
When does this first call start?
7:30.
7:30. And is there a reason why you chose
Correct.
that as the time, or is it just happen to be convenient? Is there like more of a strategic / profitability reason why that is when you start?
because everyone's sleeping at 7:30. Just that's why. No, just kidding. I used to prospect after like around 9 o'clock, and I would start getting people tell me, well, you're like the 30th person that's called me. I said, okay, well, let's try 8:30. Oh, you're like the 25th person that's called me. Well, let's try 8 o'clock. Oh, you're like the 5th person that's called me. I was like, wait, someone's up before me? So I try 7:30, and most of the time I'm the first one in the phones.
So there's a strategic reason to being number one at that time.
Early bird gets the worm.
Okay. And could you tell us about what type of leads you work at that time?
I will always do my first expireds right off the bat. I want to get all the expireds out of the way. So my expireds, I'll either hand dial them or I'll put them on a single dialer. So I'll just dial my first expireds, because they're usually about, depending on your marketplace, between 30 to 60 expireds every day, new ones. So I'll call them first. I'll give them my full attention. And I know most people's fear is like, well, what happens when you're calling so early in the morning? You know, people get upset. Don't people get mad? Isn't it too early to call? Yeah, I would agree. It would be too early. Yes, you do get mad at people. You get people that are upset no matter what time of the day you call. And they'll say, you know, why are you calling me so early? I said, that's a good question. I wanted to get you before you get out the door. I wanted to talk to you before you head out, you know?
Yeah.
Those are just different objections that you work with.
And so I'd like
to
moment, just highlight some of the questions that we had received earlier before the call started, which was really tied to when's the best time to call and why, which is why you addressed that one and gave us a good, clear answer. And then we also received questions about the types of leads that you work, which it sounds like you also obviously work expireds first thing in the morning.
Right. I do. My expireds will always be first in the morning, and then I'll switch over to FSBOs. So I do that from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, and then from 8 o'clock to about 8:30. Our company, I mean, hands down, is probably one of the best when it comes to doing what we do. So from 8 o'clock to 8:30, we do company-wide role play sessions. So whether you role play or not, we role play every single day. We're not your typical real estate company where you walk in and, hey, hi, how are you? No, we role play every day.
Role playing
so from 8 o'clock to it's crucial. The reason why people don't prospect is because they don't know what to say. How do you prospect if you don't know what to say? You have fears and doubts and worries and questions and all these other things.
So role playing is how you get over that fear and knowing what to say? Is that what you're saying?
100%. I guarantee if you knew what you say, you wouldn't have fear. If you knew exactly what to say when they're telling you something, you wouldn't have fear of being on the phone. Like, I love putting on my headset. Like, when I put on that headset, it's me against the world. It's awesome. It's like my time. That's my Zen time, prospecting, because I understand the game.
Well, I'm going to ask you a Zen master question, because we got a bunch of them coming in from people asking about your scripts. And so who you use as far as the scripts, like the brand, if you want to name names, the type, like who you get your scripts from, what they sound like would even be great to know for when you're talking to your expired customers.
Correct. I personally use Mike Ferry scripts 100%, hands down. Mike Ferry. I follow the Mike Ferry system to the T. When I first started prospecting or scripting, I thought they were kind of dumb. I was like, oh, you sound robotic. You sound like everybody else on the phone. I go to prospecting school once a quarter. And even recently when I went to prospecting school, I was doing for sale by owners, and I was off script, where I had the ability to talk to Jill. She's a lead coach. She goes, stay on your script. And sometimes you got to go, keep it basic. Stick to your script. It works. There's people out there making millions a year saying the same thing over and over and over. It's just that thought in your head. Because think about it, Justin. If you had your house for sale and it expired, and I called you asking you questions, do you know if I'm on the script or not?
No, I don't.
You wouldn't know, right? Then why do we think that they know we're scripted?
Only we do, I guess. It's just, again, going back to something mental.
Okay. Right? So when you go to the doctor, the nurse takes all your vitals and asks you a million questions. What is your pain from 5 to 10, and what are you allergic to? What are you feeling? She's asking you a million questions before the doctor sees you, right?
I see where you're going with this. Keep going.
It's a script. You go to church, that's a script. You go to the bank, that's a script. Everything in life is a script. You're just following a system that works. Why fight it?
And so you're with Mike Ferry, and I know Mike Ferry has a fantastic link to has a fantastic page with all of his scripts on it. And so whether it's expired listing or just listed, just sold, those are the ones you're talking about, right?
Yes, and they're free.
They're free. Okay, so we'll share a link with everybody, both on the webinar right now to get those. And if I can't find them in time, they will definitely be in the email that goes out to you with both the recording and a link to all of the scripts. How's that sound?
Perfect. I mean, I've always had this motto: if when in doubt, Google your way out. Google Mike Ferry scripts. They're free.
Nice, nice. So let's see here if we have any questions really related to it. So somebody just kind of quick question, 7:30 in the morning, what's your conversion at that time?
I get more contacts in the morning than later on in that day when it comes to new expireds, because most of the time what happens is if you call after 8:30, most likely 4 to 5 people already ruined it for you before you got on the call. So you go into a more hostile phone call.
Yeah.
And you have to do more we call mind shifts. You have to be good at what you do to shift their mind and get over their objections, their rudeness. So you get them fresh right when they start. And if you're good at what you do, it's easy to turn that conversation around versus getting on the phone after, and now you're really putting in some work.
And related to that is, I mean, you're putting an energy and investment into your list, your contacts. Every word you speak could be spoken to someone who's less or more qualified. And so at what certain point do you start to realize that this is not someone who's going to be heading in a direction that they need to in order for you to work with them, and then you throw the lead away?
Well, the way I do mine, as soon as I'm on the phone call, I would know after the three or four questions if they're motivated. I mean, if what you have to think about is these people were in the market for 6 months. I mean, who puts their house on the market for 6 months just to take it off the market and say, I'm keeping it? No one. They're frustrated. The question is, why are they frustrated? We don't ask why. We just ask, if you were to sell the home, where do you go next? I'm not going to sell it. So how can you have to be there? What does it matter? Like, we don't ask why. That sounds to me like you're frustrated. Why? Why are you frustrated? What happened? Talk to me.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things.
We got a lot of questions about rapport building too from those who had submitted them, and so we're also getting questions right now from people wanting to kind of hear what that script sounds like. And I think it's okay to go into it, because when we get to the GeoLeads side of things, it's the same principles at work, whether you're talking to somebody who's expired, for sale by owner, for rent by owner. You do apply the same ones. And so I think going into an example right now to go in to exemplify your rapport building and your script building, and maybe even some objection handling. Would you be open to kind of jumping into that?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, give us an example of what the script sounds like, and how you would build rapport with somebody in that circumstance when they're frustrated and it's been 6 months.
Okay. So I follow the Mike Ferry script all the way down. It's not verbatim, but it's exactly the same question. I just ask it in a different way. So when you're on a phone call, say, hey, good morning, this is Edward with Intel Real Estate Services. I'm sure you figured out, that your phone come up on our computers and expire listing. Really quick, when you're on the market, I mean, what are you guys looking to do? What's your next step? Where are you moving to next? And they'll tell you, we're not moving. We decided to keep the house. Oh, you decided to keep the house? Great. I mean, interesting. I'm just curious. What happened while you're on the market? And they'll tell you, well, it doesn't even matter. It's frustrating, and it doesn't matter. We're just going to keep the house. I definitely get it. You must be frustrated. I mean, I'd be frustrated too. My house was on the market for 6 months. But I mean, there had to have been a motivation there somewhere. Mm-hmm. Were you looking at upsize, mm-hmm. downsize, or move out of the area? Which one was it? Oh, well, we're looking at upsize. Ah, fantastic. Upsizing. Good for you. I mean, what was the reason for upsizing? How important was it for you? Oh, the family's growing. Ah, makes sense. Obviously, your goal 6 months ago was to upsize and get your family into a big home. And because that didn't happen, causes you this here and now, correct? Like, yeah, it does. And I'm just curious. I mean, if your property doesn't sell, what happens then? Well, we'll just keep it. But, I mean, that wasn't your first option, was it? Like, no. So it sounds to me like your first option was to sell an upgrade. And what's important about this upgrade? The family's grown. We have a new addition to the family. It all makes total sense. So obviously, what I hear you saying is that 6 months ago, you should have sold this house, bought a new house, because you're running out of space and you need the room, right? They're like, yes. And I'm just curious, are you going to let one bad experience with one bad agent actually keep you and your family from getting the bigger home you guys deserve? I mean, are you? They'll be like, no. I mean, I wouldn't either. It makes no sense. You know, I would love to share with you some options and opportunities as of how we can get that done for you. I mean, ultimately, that is what you and your family deserve, isn't it? Well, yeah. It's great. I'm available now and again at 4, which was best for you. Well, you know what, Andrew? Well, we need some time to think about it and you need to speak to my wife. Perfect. I understand where you're coming from. You definitely got to speak to your wife. But let me ask you a question, Justin. How does your wife feel about the move? You know, she's probably devastated because it didn't get done, right? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. But if the move was to happen, how would she feel then? She would feel fantastic, right? Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not going to let your family not go through that experience because of the past experience you had before, are you? No. And you did say you need a bigger home, didn't you? Right? So I'll tell you what. I have my calendar open. It's easier for me to put you into my schedule now, you know, than take you out of my schedule later. So let's go ahead and do this. I have a 2 o'clock and a 4 o'clock open. Which one works best for you? And I'll be, well, 4 o'clock works best. Great. And then that's when you set the appointment. You can't do anything without motivation. Because no matter where that conversation goes in different ways, you could give me any objection. Well, I'm just going to wait. Or I'm just going to keep it off the market. Or a common one is, we decided to rent it. Great. Was your first option to sell or to rent? It was to sell. Then what were you looking to do when you sold this property? So it's just the way you flow. One thing that I've learned is to have a conversation with someone. The reason why we sound scripted is because we choose to sound scripted. But ask yourself is when you're on the phone, would you talk to your friends that way? Most likely, 90% of the time, you wouldn't talk to your friends that way. And why talk to people that way? Right? So most of us get on the phone and we want to become this other person that we're not. Be you. Don't be anyone. Just be you. Have your personality. Know who you are. I'm amiable. I can talk in a different way. If you're a driver, be you. Some people like that. If you're expressive, be you. Just know who you are when you go into a phone call. There's a thing called versatility. Know who's on the other side of that phone. You have someone that's amiable. I have a different approach. You know, I would love to earn your business. I just don't want to take your listing. That's an amiable thing. A driver sounds to me like you want results, isn't it? Straight to the point. You have analytical. You know, basically we're in a hot market this way. It's more important to get more money now than later. You know, they want to know numbers. So it's called versatility.
You have evolved even since our last call. That was amazing. You have some high fives coming along here from people in the audience just saying, you know, nice twists, and that sounds awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was very, very impressive with how you have that all just ready to go and to deploy. And the two big things that you know, to pull away from that I got to regurgitate to you and to those listening is, one, like you said, know yourself. Have that about me card written out like we talked about at the beginning, so that way you can stay in touch with who you are and sound authentic, sound positive, and not have to wear the clothes of somebody else's personality, wear your own. And then the other one that you really brought out was like the versatility of having the script ready and malleable.
Right. And then one thing that I've learned from our broker and lead coach, Danny Morrell, he always tells us people are like furniture. They need to be moved. And we're leaders. We need to lead. And when we don't know how to lead our clients, we don't know how to lead the conversation. So then we allow them to lead us. But yet again, who's a professional? You're not going to call Apple tech support and tell them how to run your phone, are you?
No, and I think you also highlighted the golden nugget of it all was you gotta dig for motivation. Dig for motivation. Stay true to yourself, and then Stick to it.
Right. I mean, there's so many other things. If we can go into detail upon detail, there's a thing called mind shift. You'll get people who are very angry on the phone, and they'll be like, "Why am I going to sell? Why? You know, no matter what you say. Well, I mean, if you were to sell where you go next, it doesn't matter. We're going to stay off the market. Well, I'm just curious. What did you want to do? It doesn't matter. We're going to stay." I said, "I get it, Justin. You're upset. You're frustrated. But let me ask you a question. If you had a full price offer 2 weeks ago, would you have negotiated that offer then?" "Well, yeah, I would have." "So it sounds to me like you're still motivated to sell. So what happened?" So now you become a driver with them. They want to give you attitude, you give it right back to them. So it's called a mind shift. It's just, you got to shift their mind from being angry to giving you information. So it's like, okay, so if you would have had a full price offer 2 weeks ago, would you would have sold then? Yes. So you were motivated. What happened? And now, okay, now talk to me. And then occasionally you get your smart ass, "No, I wouldn't have negotiated that offer 2 weeks ago." "Huh, I'm confused. So you mean to tell me, Justin, that you put your house on the market for 6 months just for the sake of putting it on the market?" "Well, no." "Well, of course not. So what was it?" "Like, I'm here to help. I'm not here to haggle you or that thing. I'm here to earn your business, and I just by default. So tell me what happened." So see, now we're coming from a helpful stand of view.
Going back to that original hat you put on. Oh, you know, you just always impress me. I never get on the phone with you and leave feeling anything less than awesome, honestly. And not that we have to go right now, although if those of you who have joined us and have some time blocks and some commitments outside of this, it's okay to go. The call is being recorded, but we're about to jump into the next section here. And before heading into how GeoLeads is implemented, specifically using the strategies, the tactics, the mindset, the scheduling, the routines, and then we're going to talk about the tools and technology on how he helps reach the numbers that he talked about earlier, his goals, his contacts per day, his contacts per week.
Justin, I wanted to touch one thing. Sorry to cut you off. One thing on mindset.
Yeah.
One last thing. I talked about audible, people, and surroundings.
Yes.
Right, audio. For those who have iPhones, I know you can do it on Android, but I don't know how to use those things. But on an iPhone, there's a little icon called podcast. A podcast is someone that creates something like a internet radio. It's amazing. Open up your iPhones, go to podcasts. Search for a podcast called the Real Estate Sales Show. The Real Estate Sales Show. There's people in there that you'll hear them for 30, 45 minutes. They came from nothing to making $2.5 million a year, to going from 0 to 90 transactions, 0 to 200. They go into detail about their discipline, their lifestyle, their mindset. They're human just like you and I, and it's just amazing to hear people's stories. So when you're having that bad day, you pop that in, you listen to one of their episodes, and it's just amazing. So if you guys get a chance to download it, go to your iTunes as well. Real Estate Sales Show too.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And I'll see if I can throw that into some show notes and also put that into the email that goes out to everybody when.
Yeah, I would suggest you do that.
Yeah, because that's just another one of those things that helps answer the question, what do you do when you have a bad moment? What do you do when you're feeling like you're being rejected, overcome rejection, and how do you recharge yourself? And that's just another one of those ways to boost yourself. And
right. So, we're all human. I go through those days more often than none. I'm not perfect. None of us are. And last a week or two, I had a really bad week where I couldn't even prospect. And one thing I've learned is if you're having a bad day or a bad mindset, shut off your computer and shut off your stop prospecting, because you're just going to get on that call and throw up all over yourself. It's just a figure of speech. So if you're really having a bad day and your mindset's off, reflect. I have a mirror in my station. Look at yourself. Ask you, why are you feeling this way? What's causing it? Someone said something to you? Have an event happening to you? Something was fed into your mind? Go for a walk. Put on a headset. Listen to a comedian. Listen to music. Listen to motivational stuff. Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas. There's so many things you can listen to. Feed something positive into your mind. I have I call it go-to person. There's two people that for accountability, they're my go-to people. When I'm having a really bad prospecting session because someone told me off, they're my go-to people. I'll text them or I'll call them and say, you got a minute? Yes. And I'll tell them, I went through this and this and this, and they help me through it. Find someone that'll do that for you. You know, there has to be something that makes you happy again. I don't know, picture of a puppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess that would be the best way to get over your mindset issues.
Yeah.
Dream boards are good.
Yeah, I think these are just such important. People get caught up on like the scripts and the technologies and the systems and the process and the routine, and they forget about the person and the feelings themselves. I'm talking about, and so I think that's really going to help us out now that we're arriving at the next part of our call, the next part of our session in this Q&A call, which people were asking about using GeoLeads and how to specifically get the results you do with it. You had sent me a text message earlier this week, which I was just blown away. I mean, you know, you were using GeoLeads, you were using the dialer, and you said something like you got 24 contacts in 45 minutes. And I think there are two things to highlight there. I have some, we'll call it inside information that's about to be your information, which is I know Edward has a period of time in his day that comes after his expired listing sessions, and he'll give you a little bit more of the details in a little bit about what this time block looks like. But I know it's 45 minutes long, and he focuses on GeoLeads. And to fast forward us through your day to now this period of time, Edward, could you take us to what time it is on your watch when you start your GeoLeads, what time it is when you end your GeoLeads, and then what happens in between?
Okay. One thing I've learned from my coach is I had the same question. I'm like, I'm just calling expired and I'm not getting anything, or my contacts are very weak. I was getting like 6, some days 8, some days, you know, good day 9, and my contacts were off per session. Right now I'm averaging 14 to 16 contacts per hour. So that's not bad. So we do something called switching your sources. You don't stick on one source the whole time. So in the morning, I spend 30 minutes on brand new expireds, like brand new expireds. After 8 to 8:30, our company role play session, I'll spend 10, 15 minutes either role play, getting some water, or doing my thing in the morning. So at 8:45, for those who've ever been in prospecting school, our office is designed the same way. We'll go through sessions. We'll do 1 hour session where everyone prospects for an hour straight. We keep track of our contacts with a timer. Within that hour time frame, I'll put on my dialer and I'll call the same expired that I called in the morning. I'll call them again from 8:45 for the next 30 minutes. So I'll call them again, and then from there I'll switch to my sources. I'll switch to something else. I'll call for sell by owners, and then from there I'll switch over to calling old expireds, and then I'll switch over to calling sphere of influence. I'll switch over to calling past clients, and then that hour goes up. Take about a 10 or 15 minute break. In my break, I'll do anything from like cashews, walnuts, or a snack, or water, or whatever it is that's available for me at the time. And then on my next session, which is my second session, I start with Just As It Just Sold, which is your GeoLeads. Reason why GeoLeads are so powerful, at least to me, is because most people think that it's Just As It Just Sold call is just to tell people that you sold something, you listed something. There's different sources inside that phone call. One of the sources is to let people know that you listed a property. Another source is to get a seller lead. Another one is to get a buyer's lead. Another one is to invite someone to your open house. And another one is to build your database. Those are the main things why GeoLeads are effective. I had my business is all new business. So my biggest issue, I didn't have a database. So when I go to my coach or prospecting school, they'll tell me, like, is that phone call just done? I'm like, yeah. They're like, no, it's not done. You could have asked so many other questions. So when I'm doing a GeoLeads, I'll type in an address. Let's say I just take I take a listing that day or the day after. I'll type in the address 123 Banana Street, and then I hit 100 homes. I'll put the criteria. Give me up to 3 numbers, and then give me any time length that they've been there. I'll go to preview. Gives me a surrounding city. Gives me 100 contacts. Hit load. Within less than 3 seconds, it's already loaded onto my REDX. So once it's already loaded, I go check all. I don't source through them. I don't look through them. I don't fish through them. I don't look for a specific person to farm, who to call. I just call anyone. If you haven't sold a property or listed a property, I'm pretty sure in your office someone's listed it or someone sold it and used their property address, because 99.9% of the time they're not going to call them either. So you can call it for them. Or if you don't have someone in your office that takes listings, go on the MLS and look for something that sold yesterday or sold 2 days ago, and just get that address, enter into your GeoLeads, and there you go, you got leads. Now, when you enter into your GeoLeads, now you hit call. I don't get caught up on who I'm calling. I just need a name. Sometimes I don't even need a name. I just need the address that I'm calling for. It's a simple thing. Hi, good morning. My name is Estrada with Untitled Real Estate Services. Really quick reason for my phone call. Just want to let the neighborhood know that your neighbor down the street over on 123 Banana Street just sold their home. It was a 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, and it actually sold for $500,000. And usually when one property sells, another one goes on the market. With that being said, I'm just curious. Have you ever thought about moving? Or you ever thought about selling your property too? You'll most time you hear no, you'll hear yes. You have to talk about it. Oh, good for you. And how long have you lived in this address? Oh, well, I've lived in this address for 10 years. Mike always says insert humor, which works great. So I've lived in this property for 10 years. Wow. So you must know all the neighbors by now, right? Oh, yeah, I do. And they'll tell you everything about the neighborhood. So I'm just curious, Miss Susie, you've lived here for 10 years. You obviously bought in a good time. And I'm assuming you have some equity, right? I'll be like, yes, I do. Interesting. So if this property sold for $500,000 and you can sell your property for $500,000, I mean, at that point, what would you do with it? It's a delivery of the message. There's a difference between saying $500,000 and $500,000. The same thing, but just the words are different.
I felt the difference.
So people start thinking, like, I never thought about that. You never thought about it. I mean, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you did sell it. What were you looking at? What would you do with it? Would you retire? And they'll just go on and on and on and on with it. And then that's where you like, say, look, Miss Susie, I'm gonna be in your neighborhood anyways. I just sold that house. I had to go take the for sale sign down, take it back to the office. I'm gonna stop by anyways tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I'll leave you down a free market analysis. In that package, you'll find a little bit about me and my company. Most importantly, you'll find about values of your house. And then from there, we can talk a little bit more. Fair enough? Yeah, sure, fine. Perfect. If what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that, we can get you to your next destination within a timely manner, I mean, hopefully we can put something together for you. Fair? Like, yeah, okay, perfect. That I have information, your address, I'm also going to enter you into my database. The good thing about having you in my database, you can get weekly or monthly updates on the market. Maybe that might be for you, but you might have a niece, nephew, a friend, or a relative that's looking to buy, and it's always good to know what's going on in your neighborhood, isn't it? Yeah, it would be perfect, and I'm going to go ahead and set you up on my thing, and I'll also follow up with you later on. I have your number information, and now you and I can become friends. How nice is that? Oh, it's fantastic. Great. And Ms. Susie, now that I have you on the phone as well, just also want to let you know we're having an open house this weekend on your other neighbor's house that is about a couple blocks away that I just listed as well. So I invite you to come over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you have any friends and family in your church group or in your family, in your surroundings, go ahead and bring them around too. I would love to meet everybody. Great, perfect. And I'll see you on Saturday, Sunday. Great, perfect. So now you hit every aspect in one call.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's taking advantage of the whole entire call. You enter someone in your database. You potentially have a new listing. You can give them market stats. Now your name is going to become a household thing in their house for real estate. And now they're also aware of an open house that you're having for one of your listings.
So you've answered some questions for some of those who pre-asked some questions ahead of time. I just want to make sure we highlight that, is that when it comes to choosing a prospecting area, your prospecting area is defined on whether you have a listing in an area that you've recently sold or listed, or if you don't and you want to expand to a new area, you'll see if your company or someone in your company has a listing that they've just listed or just sold, or you'll just pick a recently listed or recently just sold neighborhood home in a neighborhood that you want to work, and you'll drop a pin inside of GeoLeads, and you'll select the nearest 100 homes or however many numbers, and then you'll get on the dialer and start doing the script that you just walked us through, right?
Right. That's a very good question. I don't know the exact answer of what to choose, but what I can tell you that's worked for me is when I need somewhere to prospect an area, I personally don't farm myself. Some people have made a great career out of farming. Farming is something that cultivates over time. So it's called farming. You plant the seed and you water it, and then when it blooms, it blooms. So I've taken the phone approach. So what I do when I prospect and I have no one to call, I just find any address. Someone in your office already listed something. Someone in your office already sold something. If you don't have that, I just put in your address, put your home address. There's nothing that states that you can't farm around an area or call around an area. It's not illegal to do someone else's listing. There's nothing that says you cannot. You're just notifying the neighborhood on market stats. Hey, this property just sold.
And how do you get around do not call numbers, do not call list type situations?
Oh, that's a very good question. So on the do not call list, you would have to check with your local city ordinance or your state laws or city laws. Every city is different. I don't know how it's done there. I know we have ours. What I do on mine, what works for me, is when I do have them on my do not call list, sometimes my dialer is just going, and when you're on triple dialing or whatever, you don't even get to see what is a do not call list. But when it does come up, you just simply address the issue. You say, you know, I do apologize, Justin. I wasn't aware that your phone was on a do not call list. I was just going through my list. But, you know, the reason for my phone call is X, Y, and Z. And the good thing about do not call is most people don't call because you're on do not call list.
Okay.
But if you're humble about it and you're nice about it, they're gonna be nice to you about it. If they're upset and angry and you get angry with them and you go at it with them like butt heads, they're gonna take your name and number down. But it's all in the delivery.
Again, coming back to your approach and mindset of being of service and of help.
Right. Yeah, like if you notice when I script and I'm role playing, I don't come from a position of I just want your listing. I really genuinely want to help. And the only way that I can help you is I need to know why you're selling. If I don't know those things, I can't help you. I'm not going to sit there in your home and take your listing just to put my sign up there and take inventory. I'm in the business of taking inventory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you actually become genuine and know what they want, it makes it easier. Hey, why are you selling? How can I help you? Maybe I'm not for you and maybe you're not for me. So let's figure this out together.
Awesome. Yeah. So you gave us a great example of the script and how you would handle do not call list and how you set the market area with GeoLeads. And I know that you and I had sat down and went through the Olympian method together and had come up with really four strong usage cases on how someone who wants the results in their business and is committed to working a routine and to generate the consistency that eludes so many agents. GeoLeads falls in because it allows you to kind of like you just went through, like these like multiple types of results. And so you can generate listing, you can generate investor business, you can generate buyer business, you can generate traffic to your open houses, which then generates buyer and seller business. We went through a lot of those, and I'd like to throw them now into the different buckets that we had put together and talked about and identified in the Olympian method, which you covered one of them, the plain old just listed, just sold. But what I thought was one of the most amazing ones, which is, I think it was technique number 1, where you had talked about keeping the seller promise. I thought this was such a high value, like high levels of ethics, high levels of real estate salesmanship and professionalism that most people try to get a listing and then they let the MLS sell it for them. But you do something different that allows you to really uphold the value and the commissions that you charge. And so we called it keeping the seller promise. And so could you go through that process that you and the mindset in the process of what you do after you take a seller's a listing?
Okay, so after you take a listing, everything that that I'm learning from our company and our lead coaches is you have to have a system in place. Everything needs a system. You can't just wing it. So when you take something, you have to know what goes next and follow the system consistently. So, for example, our company has created something called checklist. So on a checklist, it's just a piece of paper. We have it in a digital format, and then we have it in a paper format. So I said, okay, I just took a listing. Great. What are your next steps? We use a database called Salesforce. Some people use different CRMs, but we use Salesforce. The minute I upload a listing on Salesforce to the company saying, hey, I just took a listing, I get alerts and things to do list right off the bat. It says schedule sign, schedule photos, door knocking, flyers, just as it just sold. It gives you the things to do already off the bat. So let's say Monday I uploaded the thing. I already scheduled a photo shoot for the following day or the latest Wednesday. So it's already been scheduled, and then the sign has already been ordered. Now I'm just ordering, or I just put in information for GeoLeads for the numbers around the neighborhood. So I got those steps in process. And then when you're taking a listing, you have to tell the seller when's the best day to update you. And if you have a schedule, because the schedule is crucial, you should already know your time slots. So she'll tell you, or he or she will say, well, Thursdays would be the best day to update me. Great. I have an opening at 2 o'clock and at 4:30. Which one of those will work better for you? Well, it would work at 4 o'clock. Perfect. You're leading the client. Because if you tell them what time I'm going to call you, oh, well, call me at 10 o'clock. That's in the middle of your prospecting session. No, you're working. Oh, can you call me at 10? So you just say, I would love to call you at 10. The only reason why I wouldn't schedule at 10 is because at 10 is the time that I spend on the phones looking for clients for your house. I mean, that is what you're hiring me to do, correct? Well, yeah, it is. Perfect. So what works better, 2 or 4? Perfect. 4 o'clock. Our conversation should take only about 5 to 10 minutes. I'll update you whether it's good news, bad news, or no news. You'll still hear from me. Okay, so you're future pacing them. And then that's all in the checklist. And then come Tuesday, I call them, and that's part of my just sold. Log into my REDX with my GeoLeads, and I'll let the neighborhood know. Hey, we just your neighbor on 123 Elm Street just listed the property, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, priced at $620,000. Do you happen to know anyone looking to move into our community? I would say our community. And they'll be like, well, I don't. Well, thank you for taking the time of thinking about it. And how long have you lived here? Oh, I lived here for 5 years. Oh, 5 years. Wow. So, I mean, where did you come from? You don't mind me asking. So then you start having conversations with people. So once you start having conversations with people, I do the same thing over again. Well, now that I have you on the phone, let me go ahead and put you on my database, get you some updates, know what the market is, maybe in 5 years, hear about all your home's worth. I'll send that over to you. As a matter of fact, I'll drop it in person. I'm going to be in your neighborhood on Wednesday, door knocking, or Thursday. I'll door knock the area because I'm going to invite everybody to the open house. And I also encourage you to come to our open house Saturday and Sunday just to get a look at the feel of the house. Great, perfect. And now that I have you on the phone, I mean, what about your friends and family? Have you ever heard any small talks about real estate? Anybody saying they're going to buy or sell? No? Okay, great. Well, just keep me in mind if it does come around. Thank you so much, Justin. Have a wonderful day. Great. So now you write their information down, and if you're using GeoLeads correctly, on the bottom right of the screen, there's a second tab. You click on that, and that automatically enters them into your Google Calendar, and it gives you their name and phone number. It automatically enters them into your contact, and then there's a little icon next to their name. Hit reminder, hit set, time and date, put a little note, and it sets a reminder, and it shoots you an email to your cell phone. So when you're door knocking the area at 10 o'clock, it says, hey, remember Justin on 123 Elm Street? Yes. Go say hi to him. Perfect. And you walk over and say hi. Everything's automated. It's called a system.
Yeah, you know it so well, and I just like to break it down into the chunks just in case, like the magnificence of how you're able to charge a full commission and then refute any sort of objections to it is really key and crucial into how you use GeoLeads and articulate your value. And I can imagine, I've never been with you on a listing appointment, although I wouldn't mind kind of tagging along one day. But I can imagine the conversation when it comes to price, you've already pre-negotiated that objection away, because part of your process in why you're going to earn your full 6% is because you use GeoLeads to call the neighbors, to invite them to the open house, and then you told me before about the inventory control method that you use when a listing is getting close to your predetermined uncomfortable point, and you'll actually use the tool to find buyers for your own sellers' listings. And I don't know, and I haven't heard of a whole lot of other agents who have such an active hand in finding the buyer for the listings that they've sold. And it's just a it sounds like, the true real way that when someone takes a listing, they sell the listing, and that not many agents do that, but you use our tools to help you get those types of listings, those types of commissions, and eventually those types of sales.
Right. It all goes down to having a coach, the right coach. Our coach and our broker, and it's just amazing that that's what they teach. That's what's embedded in us every day. Even though we have 300 something agents, only about 10% or 20% of us actually do it. So it's human nature. I mean, that's the way we are. So it's knowing the process. And don't get me wrong, I don't do it all the time 100%. I'm human. I forget stuff, or I get sidetracked. I do the thing. That would be the ideal method of doing it. When it's done, because I've done it, it works flawlessly. So you got to be as perfect as possible. And, so we all make mistakes.
Yeah. So make no mistake about it, though, you know what you're doing. And I know we're running a little bit over on time. I'm sure those who are still on, which only a couple people have dropped off, feel like it's been a well worth their time. And so as we come to a conclusion here, just two last parts. One part is feel free to let us know or share with us some of the other ways that GeoLeads, you use it, benefit from it, that we haven't already talked about. And then we're going to jump into some question and answers, and then give everybody the link so they can apply to be your role play partner.
Okay. What are your questions?
No, was there any? I was giving kind of the outline. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us on how GeoLeads helps you meet your daily contact goals? Helps you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does. GeoLeads are great. It's funny because I shared with you a couple of days ago my results on my GeoLeads. So what happens is on your GeoLeads, when I'm low on contacts, I need to speed up and get more contacts. I turn into my GeoLeads all the time. If it's not a new area, I choose any area and I'll just go at it. It's just the information is readily available at your fingertips. Don't worry about what the information says. Just talk to someone. Get in the way. Someone's like, "Why don't I know their name?" You don't need to know their name. You're just calling to let them know about something. You get that information. You get that information as you go into the phone call. Go with the positive mindset that you're there to help someone. I personally, when I do my GeoLeads, I use a triple dialer. Reason why I do a triple dialer, I set my contacts to go faster because you have so many numbers, you want to go through them quick. Doing GeoLeads, you're not looking to talk to everyone. You're looking to talk to that 1 to 3 people you want to help during that session, or as many people as you can help. So if for those using a REDX dialer, you guys actually pay attention to that first screen when you when you select all your numbers, it goes into a second prompt screen. In that screen, it says, non-disposition numbers, numbers you have already called, and then it gives you the type of numbers you called and how many numbers you're going to call. On the side, there's a little thing when you're doing either GeoLeads or any type of leads, how many of the numbers you actually want to call. So if you're on a lead, you give you 8 numbers, you only want to talk to the first four numbers or the first 3 numbers. So you check that setting off. There's different settings in that same page. Once the dialer actually kicks on, right before it kicks on, if you actually go to your settings, I only let the phone ring 3 times, no more than 3 times. So you switch that to 3 times, and then for music settings, that's all personal preference. And then you just start dialing. The dialer is going to go on its own and continue dialing. Every time when I'm dialing a session, to stop being complacent, because if you just sit there and stare at the screen, you're going to get sidetracked. I do affirmations as I'm doing it. There's people prospecting next to me, and they do it as well. I just say to myself, "You're my next appointment. You're my next appointment. You're my next appointment. Justin, you're my next appointment. How can I help you? You're my next appointment. You're my next appointment." I just tell it to myself over and over and over and over and over again. Look at myself in the mirror. I have a mirror in front of my station. Consistently, "You're my next appointment. How can I help you? What can I do for you?" That's what I tell myself. And when a call comes in, my mind's already telling me, "How can I help you?" Versus going to Facebook and seeing what ISIS did last week.
That's It's not going to get anybody any listing appointments. Okay.
Yeah, see what I mean? So that's kind of where GeoLeads is phenomenal to get your contacts going, but most importantly, get your sellers what you told them is find a client for them.
Yeah. I love that point, and I know that you and I are going to have probably more calls, and I'm sure we're going to get some emails from people asking you to come back and talk more and explain more about different things. And so to not hold everyone hostage who needs to go, we're going to do two things simultaneously. If you look on your screen right now, I created a little slide right now that if you'd like to go visit and apply to be a role play partner with Edward, you can see the link on the screen. It's surveymonkey.com/lowercase r/Edward Estrada, EDWARD ESTRADA. For those of you who are just listening and not able to actually watch or see, you can go back to that link, surveymonkey.com/lowercase r/all lowercase Edward Estrada. A couple of questions there. He will then get back with you and coordinate with those who he's got the slots and the times to work with as a role play partner. And then for everybody else who needs to go, I really appreciate everyone who's hung on the line. For those who'd like to stay and ask just a couple of questions here, we're going to do straight up question and answers right now. That if you have anything that came to mind during the course of today's conversation that didn't get addressed, didn't get asked, or didn't get addressed or answered at the level that you'd like, then it would be now's your time to kind of share that with us. And so I see here.
Also, Justin, I know we've been talking a lot about mindset. I'm going to recommend you 3 books. One is Ego is the Enemy. The other one is Magic of Believing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's called Miracle Morning. Any of those, if you can read all 3 of those books, it will help you tremendously. And also for positive audio, like I mentioned earlier, Real Estate Sales Show.
Yeah, those
Real Estate Sales Show on iTunes. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm all the links that you've shared and all the resources I'm gonna pull out of this call, and I'm gonna give everybody a link so they can go check those out. And let's see. Said, what are the names of the books again? Miracle Morning, I know, by Hal Elrod. I know that the Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And then what is the third book?
Magic of Believing.
The Magic of Believing.
Correct. I don't know the author at the top of my head. There's only one.
Yeah, it sounds like there's only one. So that question.
And the other one, the podcast, it's Real Estate Sales Show.
Okay. Hey, we got a question here about how often you're calling the same GeoLead. For example, if they do not answer on the first time.
I keep on calling them. It's part of my call list. I only delete them when they tell me to delete them, or when they've been on my database.
And so those just kind of get
you're consistently a GeoLead time frame for them. I mean, you're only going to talk to them, maybe spend a week or 2 most talking to them, and then by then you'll have a new address. And GeoLeads are designed to keep them in your database. They're just designed to get a property moving.
So if I understand you correctly, is that because you use a dialer, you'll never know if you've called them the first time or the 5th time, really, only because with a dialer, you'll call and you'll connect, and all the other past times you won't have you won't notice all the times that you didn't connect with them. Is that a fair description of the experience?
No. Let me rephrase that. When I can only speak for REDX dialer. On a REDX dialer, it tells you exactly how many times you called them, and it tells you exactly when the last time you called them, and it gives you the exact conversation you had if you made notes of what you guys talked about, and you can actually make adjustments to the number. So if I call the number and it happens to be the cell phone, I can switch it from home to cell phone. And then if no one answered, I put no one answered. If I left a message, I just tell it I left a message.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not even about leaving a message and they're not interested, I just put not interested, and they'll never call them again. So when I'm actually calling them again, the dial will actually notify you that you called them once before. So now you're your second time that you're hitting them. It keeps track for you. Pretty much all automated for you by now.
You know, people are interested in the prospecting school, and so maybe you want to talk about that a little bit?
My favorite prospect in school recommended. I did mine once a quarter now. Prospecting school is amazing because there's zero distractions. There's no egos. Someone's there to help you. I learn something new every time I go. I just went recently last week. There's a coach by the name of Ira. Just quickly, I was on a phone call and I said, "Hey, this is constantly what the property is still for sale." And he goes, "Oh no, we already sold the property." I was like, "Okay, great." And I hung up, and the coach goes, "That's it?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, they already sold." They're like, "No." So he coached me through it. So the next time it happened, I said, "Hey, you still have the property?" "No, we just sold it." "Oh, you did? Great. You don't mind me asking where you're moving?" She goes, "Oh, I'm moving up north." "Oh, fantastic. Are you already have an agent up there?" She's like, "No, I don't." Because as a matter of fact, I work with a great organization with top agents around the world. I can refer you to a great agent out there that can help you facilitate all the needs you have. Is it okay if I recommend you one of the top agents up north? "Yeah, that'd be great." "Perfect. I'll go ahead and give you their information and also have them give you a call, and hopefully they can assist you." Fantastic. Go to myferry.com if you're a Premier client or any client. Go to the referrals. Look for anything up there, San Jose. Pick an agent. Call him. "Hey, Justin, this is Edward down in Los Angeles. How are you? Good. I got your number from the resource center or the agent center. Hey, I just picked up an expired that just sold it, and they're looking to buy up north. Hey, is it okay if I refer you?" "Perfect. 30% referral fee?" "Yeah, sure, no problem. Here's her number. That's her number. You connect them, and hey, there you go. You just made a 30% referral fee for doing nothing, just connecting someone."
Well, it's a business of relationships, and I mean, by the looks of everybody's responses, they like you, and they want to be your role play partner. So
that's why prospecting school is great. And you just prospect, and whatever objections you have, hang up. Is they help you with everything. As good as I am with expired or comfortable, I am really scared and petrified for sell-by owners. So prospecting school helped me get over my fears. I'm calling them now, so I'm just human, just like everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I like things with kind of clean, even transitions and breaks, and so we start at 4 o'clock on the dot. Well, my time, Eastern, 4 o'clock on the dot, and we're coming up to here now 5:30. So with the remaining 1 minute left, why don't you kind of give us a final thought of what those who have listened today ought to know or ought to do to get the most out of their GeoLeads prospecting.
One thing that you ought to know, you must do. I'm telling you, it's crucial. Like, if there's anything you take away from it, is mindset. You have to go in with a positive attitude. Don't go into a phone call with a bad attitude. Don't go on a phone call. I'd rather you be fearful and be scared and worried and nervous than going with a bad mindset. It's going to take time to get over your fear. But most of us have fears because we don't know what to say or what they're going to say. But in reality, we're real estate professionals, real estate agents. They don't know who you are. They don't know if you've been in business for 1 minute or 10 years. It's you telling that story in your head. Be confident. Answer the phone call. "Hey, I'm here to help you." And the reason why they're going to be upset when it's expired is because they went through a bad experience. That's all. They just had a bad experience. Understand that. Once you can understand that they had a bad experience and they feel that they could sell it themselves and they don't need you, and you're already getting all defensive and worked up, it's okay. One thing my coach always says is, don't be attached to the outcome, because at the end of the day, you didn't lose anything because you never had it. So it's just part of the process. You'll get a lot of wrong numbers. It happens to me all the time. I get wrong numbers. I turn a wrong number into a contact. You just ask them the same questions.
This is where
you get wrong.
Yes, overtime right now. Tell us about wrong numbers, because I know everybody deals with wrong numbers. It doesn't matter, if you're prospecting, you're dealing with wrong numbers, and if there's anybody who can help others understand how to look at them differently and actually turn them around, it's you.
Right. So there's only certain objections you get for wrong numbers. You'll get "Oh, you got the wrong number. Oh, I apologize. I was looking for so-and-so. They have the home on the market. You don't happen to know the homeowner, do you?" "No, I don't." Okay, great. Just curious, what area am I calling?" "Oh, you're calling the San Francisco area." "Oh, fantastic. Great." And I like humor. So they're like, "How's the weather out there?" I'm in LA, so it's totally different. And they'll talk to you. I said, "Great. Okay, well, thank you for taking my call. What I'm going to go ahead and do is remove you off my list, but now that I have you on the phone, I mean, do you know anybody now in the marketplace looking to buy or sell that can use our services? No, I don't. Or there's someone local. What about yourself? You're talking about buying or selling? No, I haven't. Or yes, I have. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I apologize for taking out phone calls. By the way, you're going to receive more phone calls. And now you just made a contact. As long as you have someone that you can tell them that you're a real estate agent and you're a professional and what you're trying to do, that's considered a contact. So you just turn the wrong number into a contact, and you don't even know when you get that right contact, because I've gotten somewhere. Well, no, you got the wrong number. What about yourself? You thought about buying? I mean, I thought about it. You ever thought about selling? Well, I've been wanting to liquidate one of my properties. Oh, you should liquidate. I'm assuming you have a portfolio. Oh, I do. Perfect. And how big is your portfolio? Or X amount of big. Great. I had a client that won from one call. I ended up getting his entire portfolio over 16 properties.
What?
From one phone call. Yeah.
So you
asked him a question.
Let me hear this correctly, or let me say this if I understand this correctly. You turned a wrong number into a contact that turned into an investor unloading 16 properties?
Right. It was expired with the wrong number. And it turns out he has a property too. I was like, great. I'm just, what are you looking to do? I was a property. Great. Let me see what I can do. Made a few phone calls. I actually have a lead coach and a broker that cares. So I told him, hey, this is what happened. He was okay. Well, let me see what I can do. Put in a full phone call. Had it in escrow within 4 days. Sold within 15 days. Up and going. I said, do you like my service? It was amazing. By the way, I've never met the guy. I took the listing over the phone via DocuSign. And I never met him. Never ever met him.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. I said, hey, by the way, who do you know looking to buy or sell? And he told me, well, I have other properties. I said, great, you have a portfolio? Yes. What do you got in there? Well, I got 17 properties. I said, perfect. Ran his name on title, got all the APNs, sorted them out, started doing some more research, and then he called me back a week later. By the way, my friend, they're in the group network or whatever. They have some more properties as well. They want to unload. I'll have them give you a call a week later. I ended up getting another 10 or 12 properties.
This is why we love you, Edward. We love you, Edward.
Just asking the right question.
Yeah, we love you.
Oh, gee, thanks, bro.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for spending the time with us, and have a great rest of your day.